Hi guys, William Morris here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a library from Man Makes Noise called Puro. So as you can see, the library is made for Omnisphere, and you will need version 2.6 or higher, and the library is currently priced at €49. So the library will take up about 500 megabytes of hard drive space, so it is quite nice and compact, and that size is mainly due to the new sound sources that are brought into Omnisphere to make up these patches. So the name Puro in Finnish actually means a brook or stream, and in Spanish means pure, and I think that these give a good clue as to what the library is kind of all about, but it can certainly go into darker territory as well if needed. Alright, so let's jump right in and take a look at some of the patches. So I have just the library loaded at the top, and then the library is sort of subdivided into these four categories. So we have Noisescapes, which are all labeled with noise. We have pads and strings, which are all labeled with pad. And then textures, which are playable, a bit further down. And then finally textures soundscape, which keep the same TXT labeling here. So as you can see, lots of patches. That's everything in the list here all together. So let's start and take a listen to some of these noise patches. So as you can hear, really sort of big, really grand sounding kind of noises. They are tonal, but I do find that a lot of these are sort of best played really simply with either single notes or maybe just kind of third chords type stuff. Most of them also have an additional control built in, especially on the mod wheel. So I'll just show that one now. As you can see in the description, this first one just adds some distortion. So let's have a listen to that. And as all these changes are sort of built within the Omnisphere patch, it's easy to kind of change a lot of it, including the effects. So let's have a listen to another one. And this one actually has some more distortion, but on the aftertouch layer. So you can do these kind of little distortion pulse type things. And the mod wheel again on this one controls another distortion layer. Yeah, really cool sounding. Kind of makes me think of big mountain ranges and that kind of almost Scandinavian influence on film scoring stuff that's been so kind of big lately. Let's have a go with a few more. really kind of slow, evolving sort of stuff. Let's try this dead calm one. So yeah, you can definitely kind of hear the water sort of influence on these patches. Let's try a couple more and then we'll move on to the next category. So this might be a good one just to show you kind of what's going on under the hood a little bit. In Omnisphere, as you can see, we've got our different layers. So these are the different sounds that make up the full patch. And then the main thing to look out for, especially on this library, is what's going on in the effects section, because that's really kind of having quite a big impact on the patches here. So if I just take off the effects, you can kind of hear the underlying sound without a lot of the reverb on top. And that's basically made up of these different layers. So let's just solo them. And then we have layer B. And the final one, layer C. So a lot of the patches, especially the kind of more pad-like ones, I've noticed they make a big use of the Granular Engine, and that's a really kind of specific sort of sound to it. So just to give you an idea of what's going on, let's re-engage everything again, turn on the effects, and I can show you what the Granular Engine's doing underneath. So you're taking a fairly sort of simple sound source and then selecting all these kind of various grains from it. But it's a really nice way of sort of adding this element of randomness and evolving sort of sound to a lot of the patches. Okay, so that's a few of the noise ones. Let's just try, maybe do two more and then we'll move on. Try maybe Sharks on a Lake sounds cool. So yeah, you get that really kind of watery sound in that one as well. All right, so let's go down a bit and try out some of these pads. And I'm just using the mod wheel on this one to alter the sound. So these you can start to get a little bit more tonal with them, I would say. The noise patches are tonal as well, but they tend to lend themselves better to single notes, and the pad ones just allow you to kind of get a little bit more sort of chord-based with them, I think. And we can even sort of play some really slow kind of melodic line stuff. But I mean, that's the really great thing about kind of having it inside the Omnisphere engine, is we can do so much in terms of sculpting the sound. So even if I just jump into the effects and say disable the reverb, versus I've noticed a lot of these, they do make kind of really heavy use of this proverb reverb, and they usually, you know, with a lot of the settings kind of maxed out in terms of big tail sizes, big room sounds, that kind of thing, which automatically kind of lend themselves to a certain sort of style of playing. You want to kind of go slow and simple sort of thing, but we really can alter these sounds in a kind of massive way. So I've taken off the reverb there. You can see there's a few other effects on the individual layers. But for example, if we just go to this A layer, you can see this is an acoustic bow and it's been processed with a Granular Engine. So at the minute, we kind of have this thing going on. But if I then take off the granular, we can get down pretty close to like what the original sound source was like just on its own. All right, let's take a listen to a few more pads. It's a really nice one, that one. Makes me think of just sort of like huge drone shots over like icebergs and stuff like that. Let's try a few more. It's cool. It's got a nice kind of plucked element in that one. It's still a pad, but it gives you a bit of attack on the start of each note. Let's do Burning Oceans. I like the names of some of these. Yeah, sounds really awesome in that lower register. Let's try this one. It's got a metallic kind of almost Tibetan bowl sort of thing to it. I wonder what's it. Ah, yeah. Okay. Water bowl. Djembe. That's cool. With Super Bowl, yes, that's kind of like a friction roll thing. I really like that you can kind of see the names and a like really brief description of what the sound's made up of, the technique kind of thing. And that definitely comes in handy when we take a little bit of a look at the sound source menu later on. Yeah, again, a kind of really nice calming sort of sound. Let's try out Ferryman. They definitely all sort of have a consistent kind of aesthetic to them, if that makes sense. So I can kind of tell from listening that most of it is from sort of quite acoustic sound sources and natural sounds, but the heavy processing kind of fits you somewhere in this kind of hybrid world between the two. Let's take a listen to a few more. The pad section is probably the biggest one, I'd say. There is quite a lot in there. It's just with a mod wheel. Nice. Try Horizon. Nice. Gotta try this one just because it's got the fountain in it. That's really nice, I like that. do like these ones where you kind of get almost like a pluck, sort of attacky sound at the start. Just helps to define what you're playing, and then it kind of fades into the pad sound. That's nice, I like that one. Let's do some more, try mountain streams. Some of the aftertouch things are really kind of quite subtle, but that's nice. And it is a nice way of controlling the sound. Just lets you add these sort of little accents if you need them. Alright, so as you can see, there's a ton of pads. I think if you want to hear more of them, I'm pretty sure on the website they've got like a walkthrough where you can kind of hear a ton more of the patches. Hopefully this is enough to give you an idea though, because I kind of think that they do have a fairly sort of consistent idea to most of them. Personally, I would probably slim down the selection just a little bit, just because I think when you have this much control over the patches with the kind of various layers and all the effects, you can really take the sounds back to completely raw bare bones if you want to. And when you have that much control, I kind of feel like you don't need all the different sort of patches made up from them. I think when you have this many options, there's a bit of a tendency just to kind of keep scrolling because you're sort of always in search of something that might be a touch better than what you have. But I think if it was pared down a bit, it would probably be a bit more fun to navigate. And obviously in Omnisphere, you've got a really cool kind of patch browser where we can start to slim the selection a bit, but even if you look in this type column, there's quite a lot of different sort of sound types to choose from. I think really from this main list, I could probably lose about half the pads and still be really happy with what's on offer. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the pads. Let's just do the playable textures now. This one, it says module adds discordance, which is cool. Nice. Yeah, and that aftertouch kind of just increases that as well, which is nice. Give Coves a listen. So that's just the mod wheel there. It's cool, it's kind of like a little pitch thing. Try this one. I do actually really like a lot of these in that lower register. They automatically sound sort of really cinematic, and I can kind of picture big landscapes and massive kind of wide shots with these. All right, let's try Mist on the Water. So So yeah, another one where you can really hear the sort of river and sea influence on this library. Let's check out a predatory fish. It's nice that. It definitely feels like we're underwater because they're kind of filtering and stuff on it. Okay, let's try a couple more of these. It's just me moving the mod wheel there, so it jumped a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of pure sounds and lighter, sort of more natural sounding stuff, but there's definitely darker things in here as well. Okay, one more and then we'll try some of the soundscape stuff instead. So this one's got a kind of distortion added on the aftertouch. Let's try some of the soundscapes. It's one of the smaller categories, this one. But still loads of stuff in here. I really like having those kind of things added to the aftertouch thing. It's nice. So yeah, these ones to me definitely sound like they're better off on like a single key. Just using the mod wheel to add in more layers. Yeah, I mean, if you were doing like, if they ever remake the film The Abyss, I think this would be like the perfect patch library for it. Okay, let's try Gliding Monsters. I wonder if this one's from Deep Blue Sea. Some nice kind of pitch bending stuff going on in the background there. That's really cool. Yeah, these soundscape ones seem to be a little bit kind of darker, a little bit more suspenseful than some of the other categories. Yeah, and you got that kind of cool stutter effect on the aftertouch there. It's nice, I like that. Let's do one more. Alright, so that's probably it for the patches. I don't know about you guys, but I really like the sound of these. I think they really do what good pads should do, which is to add that atmosphere without being sort of too intrusive. And these also have a really kind of nice, slowly evolving element and those kind of elements of randomization, which seems to be mostly down to the sort of granular side of it. It adds just a little bit of movement and enough to kind of add interest without sort of stealing the scene away. Okay, so that is about it for the patches, but I just really want to show the sound sources that all of these are made from. So I'm just going to mute off the effects and the other two layers, and also take off the Granular Engine. So now when we jump into the sound sources folder, you can see all the different kind of samples and recordings that make up this library. So there's a ton of them. But you'll notice when we just have a listen to a few, I really like that it kind of says what the object is on them and a sort of brief description of how the sound was made. But as you can hear, a lot of the stuff in here are kind of just things you'd find around the house. There's a few sort of weirder things in there, but it's really cool to sort of see what the library is made up of and how kind of the sound design's been done. So a lot of them are really simple sounds, but they've just been processed in a really kind of interesting way, you know, especially taking a small sound into something that sounds quite vast and imposing. These are the Super Ball ones we take a look at earlier, which is something I quite like to do myself with, like, some people call them friction mallets, basically like a rubber ball on a stick, and when you kind of drag them across stuff, that friction creates this kind of cool, moany sort of sound. I like to play the radiator in my studio quite a lot. So yeah, I just thought it was nice to kind of show you the sound sources that everything comes from. I mean, you're essentially getting a library of patches and then almost like a sort of sound design sources library on top. And you can kind of do it the other way around as well. If you like the processing for the patches, but you want to drop your own files into them or change something else out on them, again, it's kind of really easy to do. So it does have an absolute ton of flexibility. There's a few electronic sound sources, but I'd say by and large it's quite acoustic overall. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up from me, guys. Overall, I really like this library. I think out of the box it gives you a sort of instant atmosphere for scenes you might be scoring. But once you kind of dive under the hood, there's also so much you can do in terms of your own sound design and sculpting of the patches. All right, so that wraps it up for me, guys, but hope you've enjoyed this one. Any questions, as usual, just leave them in the comments. If not, I'll see you again on the next one.